Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
It's Friday, everybody. Hallelujah. The Broncos are on a bye, but this weekend there is still plenty of sports to watch. If you guys see the breaking news that came out this morning, is in Prime we trust no matter what. I think Bronco fans are actually not going to be thrilled about this move, or Buff fans, or really any sports fans. But quality control analyst Pat Shurmur has been working with the Colorado Buffs. And as of today, tomorrow night when they take on Oregon State, he will be taking over play calling duties from offensive coordinator Sean Lewis. So this is kind of really crazy full circle. When we saw that Pat Shurmur was going to be helping out the Buffs, everyone was like, oh gosh, here we go. This is going to be a disaster. This was before kind of the season got rolling. So everyone was like, here we go. What's going to happen with the Buffs? Obviously, they go on a hot start. Things have kind of simmered down a little bit. But what does this mean? Are we going to trust in Deion Sanders? We've obviously seen what can happen with Pat Shurmur with the Broncos. So we are running a poll over on our YouTube channel. Go let me know. In Prime we trust. Are you full in and just going to trust the process? Or are you saying this is not a good deal? I don't really like this. So I am kind of interested too, because when you're just like an analyst helping out a team, you have to be able to be promoted to a full-time coach to be eligible to coach in the game. So Lewis is still going to signal the plays, but it's unknown who's going to have to drop down or get demoted to make room for Shurmur's promotion. This is coming out too from Brett McMurphy, excuse me. I am very interested now. If I wasn't already going to be interested in watching the game tomorrow night, I am definitely going to be making some switches on my TV to see what's going to be happening here. I'm very, very, very fascinated by this too. So big deal, not big deal. You guys let me know in the comments. I'm very, very curious about how this is going to look. But like I said, there's going to be a ton of sports on this weekend. I'm really excited for kind of just a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. Cecil Lamy is going to join us here in a little bit too, because of course, if your fantasy team is struggling and you're trying like the Broncos to somehow make it into the playoffs at the deadline, then Cecil Lamy will hopefully be able to help you find some sleepers and everything like that. Yesterday, Adam Schefter joined 104.3 The Fan and was talking about the trade deadline. And so many people have been like, well, the Broncos should have made a move. There was one name in particular I was hoping the Broncos were going to trade, and that was Jerry Jeudy. I was really hoping that they wouldn't touch anybody on the defense now that things seem to be clicking there too. And Adam Schefter kind of gave us a little bit of a look inside what the calls were looking like for a lot of players. Take a listen.
Were there discussions? Yes. Were there active discussions? Yes, there were. Did anybody come close? No. You know, I think of all the players, the one that was probably generating the most interest, Jerry Jeudy, got calls from a few different teams. But Denver wasn't going to give him up unless it got back, a significant return. And the Broncos never felt like what they were getting back was worth giving up Jerry. And so they held on to him. Never came close on Surtain. Never came close. And they weren't. Like they think he's the best player on the team. So to trade him, it would have taken Jalen Ramsey package, which Jacksonville got 204 back in the day. It would have taken 204 and then some, to get him out, which no team was going to do. Teams called, teams checked, but no team came close to doing that. Never heard much about Josie Jewell. Denver did get calls about Lloyd Cushenberry. Cortland Sutton got some inquiries. That's Justin Simmons got some inquiries. But no, nothing came close.
Adam, do you know what the potential offer was, the draft compensation for Jerry Jeudy? Do you know what it was?
I believe they got offered a 3 and 5.
Wow.
Okay.
And that wasn't enough.
Not for Denver, no.
A 3 and a 5 for Jerry Jeudy, and it wasn't enough. That blows my mind. I had been saying that if they could get a third rounder for him, just make the deal. We want to see more Marvin Mims. Sean Payton has made it very clear that he wants to focus on the younger group. That's what we saw with some of the moves that happened earlier this season. So why not give Marvin Mims a shot? Why not let us see a little bit more of him? Get Jerry Jeudy, get a third round pick for him. It can definitely help in the draft. I know they they probably wanted a second. I don't think they were ever going to be able to get a first, but still, I wish they would have made this deal. And I like, too, that they weren't going to sell short on Pat Surtain. I think it's really reassuring that, they got some good deals in, but they weren't going to sell themselves short and just send him off just to kind of load up on some picks. I really like that part. But the Jerry Jeudy, a third and a fifth, I'm really frustrated. I'm like, Broncos, why didn't we make this? George Payton, this would have been a good deal for him. I don't know what else they would have wanted. I'm fascinated by it. I'm really curious how you guys are feeling, too. Would you have given up a third or would you have traded Jerry Jeudy away? Said, see you later, Jerry Jeudy. You kind of made it clear you didn't want to be here anyways for a third and a fifth. Let me know in the comment. I'm just really kind of upset about that. When I heard it, I was expecting him to say like a fourth and a fifth or whatever. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Don't make any moves there. But a third and a fifth, I was like, dang, you guys. Let's see. Jeudy is worth more. Good job, Broncos. Oh, I'm not a big fan of this. You guys figure out Jerry Jeudy from the fan base is sour on him because he's a diva, but you got to develop that guy. No, that's not enough. No, Rachel. I'm sorry. He hasn't been productive, gentlemen. He has not been productive enough. You should have traded away a third rounder. Let's see what Marvin Mims can do. Let's work on a little bit of this younger team and see what we can develop from there. And let's be honest, it's going to be a run-heavy offense moving forward because that's what's working. Jerry Jeudy has not played well as a professional. They should have made the trade. I 100% agree. I don't think that the numbers have really shown super well, so I really do wish that they would have just made the trade for Jerry Jeudy, said, Jerry, we appreciate everything you've done here, but we are going to move on and we're going to bring in that third rounder. So I'm a little annoyed at that, but it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Like I said, there is a ton to watch this weekend too, even if the Broncos aren't going to be playing. The one that I'm most excited about is going to be Air Force versus Navy. That's at Mile High this weekend. They're expecting like 50,000 fans in attendance. So I'm really excited for that one. Of course, Troy Calhoun has done an immense job. If you haven't already, go back and watch earlier this week. Romy Bean had joined me here on Coffee Break and we were talking through just giving the roses that Air Force deserves at this point. And I was shocked, actually shocked by the amount of people that have been paying attention to Air Force. And I'm not saying that in a negative way towards them, but because a lot of like the media hasn't been talking about them. And so many people on Twitter were reaching out being like, yes, we love that you are talking about it. It's so great to be able to see everybody giving them their roses. They're 8-0 on the season. They 110% deserve the roses that they're being given. They've beaten every single opponent by at least 7 points and have won 7 out of their 8 games by double digits. Give them their roses. I'm super excited to be able to see them play. So if they win on Saturday, they will win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy since they already beat Navy 17-6 back in October. So it would be really cool. And obviously they made it into the top 25 for the college football playoff rankings. It's the first time ever. So huge congratulations to them. So you got to kind of stay undefeated at this point if you want to continue to move up in those rankings. And it's not really a big deal for this year's playoffs. Like, I don't think that they're going to make it, but it's definitely for when the college football, expands a little bit. And that's when you're hoping that this team can stay on its course and be able to possibly maybe, in the next couple of years, make a run at it. And it would be really, really fun to see. I know a lot of Colorado football fans would definitely get into it. And I love that the game's at Mile High on Saturday. So really excited for that. That game is at noon. Moving back onto the Buffs, I know we obviously talked about the Pat Shurmur thing. I find that very, very interesting. So you can catch that game 8 p.m. Why can't the Buffs get a normal time game? I know they've got a few coming up here, but I'm like, another 8 o'clock game on ESPN. It's going to be a good one. Can Shedeur Sanders protect himself? Their offensive line absolutely freaking stinks, you guys, and that's going to be one of the biggest things that I'm going to be paying attention to. But in case you didn't see it either, Matt Miller of ESPN has Shedeur Sanders over Drake May as the 5th best prospect that could come out of this year's draft. When I saw that, I was pretty surprised. I'm not going to lie. I kind of looked at it and I was like, really? I mean, over Drake May? And I know you can go to kind of some of the stats, and we can get into that here in just a quick second. But Shedeur has great precision, and I get it. And his accuracy is great, and he does super well under pressure. I get that. But let's also not ignore the fact that his offensive line does stink, and he doesn't do well there. It's not like if you go super early in the draft that you're going to be going to a good offensive line anyways. So, let's look at the transition from college to the pros. you're not going to be having a great offensive line if you go that early in the draft. And that's just the reality of it. He also holds onto the ball way too long. And I think we can all agree that that does not do well or does not play out well in the NFL. So there's two things where I'm kind of like, really? You're going to put him over Drake May? And then he kind of just needs to, I don't know. When you look at Shedeur's play, the one thing that stands out to me the most is he really just needs to anticipate the rush better. That's kind of one of those things that definitely stands out to me. And I'm like, Shedeur, we've got to be able to read everything a little bit better. And I don't know. I want to buy into Shedeur Sanders so much. And I know some people have definitely done it. And I know a lot of people are looking at the stats, like I said. It's like Shedeur has 9 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Excuse me. Caleb Williams is 9 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns ahead of Shedeur Sanders. So everybody is trying to make that comparison. But really, you have to kind of compare it to Drake May, who has 78 fewer passing yards and 6 fewer touchdowns. But are we looking at the same level of play? I'm actually going to ask Cecil Lamy about this because I don't see it. It's kind of how I'm feeling about Russell Wilson when I'm like, what am I seeing with my eyes? That's what I'm really wanting to pay attention to because stats can be like skewed different ways, right? We can all look at Russell Wilson's stats and be like, oh yeah, they're doing great. But does anybody trust when Russell Wilson has the ball in his hands? No. That's kind of how I feel about Shedeur Sanders. Plus Deion Sanders came out and said that they're not going to the NFL. Shedeur or Shiloh aren't going to the NFL this year. He wants him to stick around for another year. And then who knows what can happen. One more year possibly in this system. What can this look like? I'm going to be very interesting. The other game I'm always excited about, you got to go for my Rammies. We got CSU at Wyoming, 6 p.m. tomorrow night. That one's always such a fun one. And you guys, I just saw Cecil Lamy pop up in the back. So I feel like this is the perfect time to bring him in and ask him about this because, well, first of all, we also have to ask him because he's looking a little clean shaven nowadays. Cecil Lamy, good morning. How are you?
Day's still punching, but I'm here. How are you?
Good. Okay, first of all, the beard, was it all for Halloween?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like it.
I will be growing back my beard as fast as I possibly can. I don't grow facial hair that fast, but I figure about a week, 2 weeks, I'll be looking like my normal self. But yeah, I had to commit for the Wayne's World bit for Halloween, and now I'm here. And it's an interesting look. I haven't been clean shaven in decades, probably.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen you completely clean shaven.
It brings out the I'm Hispanic, so it definitely brings out my higher cheekbones and like you can see my native side for sure. And I like the look. It's just I kind of like the beard look a little bit better.
I'm with you. I think that the beard does suit you well, especially with the locks you got going on too. But I was just talking to everybody about this, Cecil, and I need your opinion. Shedeur Sanders over Drake May seems like a little bit of a stretch in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work yet to be done, and that's Matt Miller. I don't have anything bad to say about Matt Miller because I showed him around his first Senior Bowl. I've known Matt since he was literally a teenager, and he's a dear friend. And the thing is about draft analysts is that if you put in the work, I'm going to respect you, right? I talk to Chad Ryder from NFL Network all the time. He's also one of my dear friends. Like, he's an OG on the scene, and he does a lot of behind the scenes work for whether it's Bucky Brooks or Daniel Jeremiah or whatever. And the thing is, Chad and I will see things differently, but we're both putting in the work, so Matt and I might see things differently, but I know Matt's putting in the work. So I'm not going to, lose my mind because he hasn't won spot over Drake May. I don't agree with that, but you definitely can project Shedeur Sanders to number 1 overall in 2025. In 2024, it is a Caleb Williams, Drake May type of world. And you've got one guy who's like a mini Ben Roethlisberger and Caleb Williams. You got another guy who's like Phillip Rivers with better mechanics and Drake May. And Shedeur Sanders is, his own man. And he is a player with great pass placement, incredible football intelligence, and can run when you need him to, but doesn't look to run first. So, it's interesting. I don't think Matt did it on purpose to get people talking, but it certainly got attention in the scouting world.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Shedeur has an incredible football IQ, and he does read the field relatively well. And he kind of reminds me a little bit, and people are probably gonna be mad when I say this, but like when Russell Wilson has to make a play just because he's on the run, like he kind of reminds me of that a little bit. There were times where I was even comparing Shedeur to a little bit of Patrick Mahomes because it was like when he was run, he would be able to throw these balls in like the most unique way ever. And you're kind of like, okay, you can see a little bit of that NFL in Shedeur, but he definitely does not anticipate the rush very well by any means. And you're like, all right, Shedeur, you can't hold on to the ball. This like, let's get it out and let's move this ball, which is some things I feel like we see a little bit with Russell Wilson as well.
What's funny is you almost want him to run a little bit more. I think Wilson at this point in his career takes off to run because he doesn't see the field like
Yeah.
at all, like not at all whatsoever. So he's kind of running as a primary weapon. Shedeur can run, but it's more of a secondary weapon because he's so focused on making plays and making passes. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, that he could be a little bit more run heavy and you'd be okay with that. Also, you imagine NFL protection would be better for Shedeur. So lots to be excited about, certainly. And if you need a quarterback like the Broncos do, next year would be a fine time.
Shedeur Sanders as a Denver Bronco. I feel like Colorado, natives, everybody in Colorado would love to see that.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be an incredible story. And I want to see Shedeur up at Boulder one more year. I do
Mhm.
believe that with one more year of seasoning, he could be the number one overall pick. So right now he's a top 10 pick if he chooses to come out. But being number one overall, something even that dad, Papa Sanders, didn't do in that year back in, 89, right? Because you had Barry Sanders, Troy Aikman
Yep.
as the top pick in that pick. And then Deion Sanders was what, 3? I believe off the top of my head. Either way, like Shedeur could do something that his dad didn't do, be the number one pick in the NFL draft.
True, and that has to be pretty hard for Shedeur to kind of look at what his dad did do and be able to be like, all right, Pops, I got you on this one. It's like, who's got the better dance moves between all of them? All right, Cecil, are you ready?
Let's do it.
It is time for Cecil's Fantasy 5 Tips presented by Hooters. Cecil, who's the biggest sleeper on the week? Hit me with it.
Yeah, biggest sleeper on the week might be Daniel Jones. If you need a quarterback and you're looking at streaming options, Jones is back. And I'm very curious, and we've saw this before with Bryce Young and Andy Dalton. So when Andy Dalton had to play for Bryce Young, and before this game, Adam Thielen wasn't getting much at all, which had
Mhm.
shocked me because I'd felt when the Panthers got Adam Thielen, like, yeah, he's going to be a target hog because a young quarterback likes his security blanket. He likes his whoopee. We didn't see that until Dalton came in through, I think it was 14 targets, 11 catches, whatever it was for Adam Thielen in one game. Bryce Young comes back. You see it work out. Tyrod Taylor's been starting for the Giants. Now that he's hurt and Daniel Jones has been cleared from his neck injuries, cleared for contact as of last Sunday. So he'll be good to go this week. I'm curious to see if Jones has picked up a thing or two from Tyrod Taylor, where things look different and better, dare I say, with Tyrod Taylor in the lineup because he was spreading the ball around to guys like Jalen Hyatt, guys like Wan'Dale Robinson. So I'm hoping that sort of effect takes over. And obviously Brian Daboll and the well-paid Daniel Jones now, he'll want to make it work with his guy. So Daniel Jones back in your lineups as a streaming quarterback option this week.
Daniel Jones, man, you never know what you're going to get out of him. And I feel like that is the honest truth right there. Cecil, the biggest game I feel like everybody's paying attention to, it's not a prime time game, really. It's actually a super early morning game for the Chiefs and the Dolphins in Germany. Who are you liking in this game? Because these are both really talented teams.
Yeah, and if you see what the Broncos did, essentially playing box and one as basketball type of thing with Travis Kelce, where you're playing man and everyone else, you're zoning up Travis Kelce. I think Vic Fangio is going to steal that idea, and I think Vic Fangio is going to take that and run with it. And I think the Dolphins can win this one. Now, will this be a playoff preview? Certainly, I think it could be, as these two teams are marching towards a Super Bowl. Miami's taken their licks this year, but Kansas City coming off that loss to the Broncos, I think for an international audience, and I'm communicating with some people overseas, some fans of the show that are sending me notes and sending me pictures of, what's going on. The Dolphins are in town or all those sorts of things. Like, yeah, it's got an excitement level. And usually, no offense to Jaguars, but like usually it's Jacksonville and somebody, whatever, in London.
Mhm.
Well, this time in Frankfurt, you're seeing two of the league's best. What a showcase for the NFL. And so get up really early, be ready for an early morning game as the Dolphins and Chiefs. I've got the Dolphins in this one, and it should be a great contest. Not a lot of great games this week, but that
No.
game, is one and probably the best game we'll see this weekend.
No, 100%. I'm also taking the Dolphins with you, so I'm really excited for it. I'm like, oh, I have to wake up really, really early on Sunday, but you know what? I'm going to just curl up in my blanket and watch some good football and really enjoy it too. See, so we always talk about the sleepers of like, okay, which should people go on the hunt for? Which player should it be? What about a player that maybe somebody may have in their lineup and you're thinking, ooh, this might not be a good matchup for them?
Yeah, might not be a good matchup. And those are always just players to avoid in this situation. And I go around and I look at how things are changing across the National Football League. You've
Mm.
got your Austin Eckler in your lineup. It hasn't been good. The Jets defense, if we look at that Monday night matchup, it's not a great game to be sure. And Zach Wilson, and of course, we're excited about Justin Herbert. Excited to see maybe more of Quentin Johnston, their rookie receiver from TCU for the Chargers. But I look at that Jets defense, they're going to be keyed on Austin Eckler. Now,
Mhm.
for the most part, there's only 4 teams on bye, but for the most part, I'm still going to recommend Austin Eckler as a fantasy starter for you. But you need to look at how he's done since he's came back. It's not been great. It's not been the normal Austin Eckler that you're used to. And then I look at this matchup going, the Jets are going to solely focus on him. Like,
Mhm.
you're obviously concerned about Herbert in the passing game, but if you don't shut down Eckler, you don't have a chance against the Chargers. So that Jets defense is the strongest, one of the strongest in the league. They'll look to shut down Eckler, might have different options. Again, for the most part, I'm probably going to tell you to start him, but it's not your normal level of production that we would expect from Eaton, Colorado's finest, Austin Eckler.
All right. I do want to talk a little bit about the Broncos, even though they are on the bye week. And I'm a little like, oh, I wish they weren't so we could keep this whole, train moving. I feel like there is something with momentum going into it. But we'll look ahead to the Bills too. But real quick, Justin Simmons had joined NFL Network yesterday, and he had gone on to talk about Baron Browning and how he has a little bit of Von Miller-esque movement. And I'm curious how you compare the two.
Yeah, I mean, Vaughn's different. It's
Mhm.
fine when Justin says that. That's fine. It's high praise. The one thing with Barron, and we had to look at this, because I remember when Malik Reed was here and everyone's like, oh, he's just like Shaq Barrett. I'm like, no, no, Shaq Barrett is special. He's different. CSU represent, right? So there
Always.
you go. And that's where you look at Baron Browning. It's like he's better than Malik Reed, but how much better is he? I'm not going to say Vaughn. Justin Cannon. Justin's got the skins on the wall, as John Fox would say, to
Mhm.
say that. But it's bendy movement, basically, that you see with Baron Browning. You want to see him stay healthy, but he definitely contorts and twists his bodies in ways that you wouldn't think possible to get after the quarterback. I love the upside. I'm not even going to say Shaq Barrett with him, but I know he's better than Malik Reed. And I know he has the upside to be the best pass rusher for this Broncos team, and getting him back, the defensive adjustments that you've made, because I still think Vance Joseph gets fired. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but it's like Vance Joseph's not real good, people. But when you put in Fabian Moreau and you take out Damari Mathis, when you get Baron Browning back, when you make these adjustments, having a healthy Justin Simmons, you can see reasons why they have players on this team. They don't have enough, but they have the
Mhm.
players. And certainly Baron Browning is one of those young players you get excited about.
Do you get excited about PJ Locke over Kareem Jackson in the future?
Yeah, and Locke makes that interception. Kareem is never going to make that interception. We
Mhm.
all love Kareem. He's going to be in the media. Hell, might work with us. You never know. Like, Kareem Jackson is a great, fine pro, ring of fame type level of pro. But at this day and age, Father Time is undefeated, and he's not going to make those same plays that Locke is. Locke's not the enforcer that Kareem Jackson is, but they're also kind of taking the enforcement away from the enforcers as we continue to see Kareem get fined, suspended, etc.
Okay. Interesting. Plenty of good Cecil Lamy. As always, I appreciate you hanging with us. Real quick, last one, I guess. How'd you feel about the news on the trade that the Broncos turned down a 3 and a 5 for Jerry Jeudy?
Huge mistake.
I
Huge mistake.
agree. Ah!
Absolutely huge mistake. You're not going to get anything else for him. When they trade Jerry Jeudy or even get a compensatory pick, oh, we'll get a third rounder for him. Well, you could have had a third and a fifth. That
Yep.
I'm not good at math, but I know that's a better deal. And people have been saying, well, it depends on what had happened is who it was. If it's the Eagles, yeah. Okay. But it's still a third and a fifth. You get to April, Jerry Jeudy blows up the rest of the way. You're probably still only pushing for a third and a fifth, and he's not
Mhm.
going to do that, everyone. Cortland Sutton is the one with heart. Cortland Sutton is the one to make the plays. Cortland Sutton, when the chips are down, is the guy you can look to. Jerry Judy's in it for himself. And I guess he doesn't want to be here. That's my guess. I'm not saying anything out of turn. So if that's the case, yeah, you had a third and fifth on the table. You should have
Peace
got
out.
rid of him. Yep.
I'm with you. I think it was a mistake, but we'll see what happens the rest of the season. Cecil Lamy, as always, a pleasure. Thank you.
Stay frosty.
All right, Cecil Lamy's Fantasy 5 Tips presented by Hooters. Always a pleasure having Cecil on, you guys. I want to definitely check out some of your comments because I feel like I haven't done all that much. Cease Your Memory is amazing, and you missed a couple. 89 Draft, Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders. I know Air Force football is bland, but it's old school and the important keyword that no one cares about because of the Gen Me society, and that world is disciplined. Ouch, that's kind of hard. I feel like that's not just really a Gen Me society thing. We're very disciplined. Want to read some more of these? You guys, so many things. Ask Jeudy if he's disappointed the Broncos didn't make a deal. You want to know what's kind of funny, you guys? So Justin Simmons, like I said, was on the NFL Network and he was doing a whole thing. And they love this question that they asked him, actually. They were like, you've had 29 picks, 5 interceptions on Patrick Mahomes, 29 picks in his career. And he didn't want to hear about any trade rumors that were going on. He said that he called his agent and was like, don't tell me anything unless it's a done deal. I'm just putting my head down. But there was like a slight pause that he did. And I was almost like, did you want to be traded, Justin Simmons? I think he's happy to stay here as a Bronco. But I think if there would have been a team that was in the playoff contention, I don't think Justin Simmons would have been too upset about leaving. He said he's very happy that they got the win before the bye and he's hoping that they can turn around, and he did all like the media stuff, but there was like a slight pause for a second that I was kind of like, all right, Justin Simmons, what are we talking about here too? Also, I loved Cecil's answers on the Baron Browning stuff too, about how he has Von Miller's just in a different level. Like Von Miller in his prime was so stinking good. And that's not saying that Baron Browning can't get there, but I definitely think it's going to take a little bit more. But Justin Simmons obviously in the locker room, so he can kind of give that, critique. But I do kind of just find it interesting. And the PJ Locke stuff I'm going to be fascinated with. Are you going to keep him out there even when Kareem Jackson comes back? That's stuff we're definitely going to be looking at next week too. I do want to do our picks real quick here in a second, but last one, the Mavs at the Nuggets tonight. The in-season tournament starts. I feel like if you are a diehard basketball fan that you're really excited about this. And if you're just kind of like, hey, I enjoy watching the NBA season, after the NFL season's over, etc. And you're just kind of, I pay attention here and there. Well, I don't think you're super hyped about this. I'm not personally hyped about these. Like, I don't like this court at all, but this is what it's going to look like tonight. Personally, not loving it at all, but we'll see. Hopefully the Nuggets get back in the win column. I am predicting a win. I'm hoping for a win for them. I think it just wasn't their night the other night. And there's nothing wrong with that because the season is so long. So it's not like I'm overanalyzing like, oh my gosh, are they going to lose a bunch of games because of this and this and this? I think finally the emotional roller coaster of everything had kind of just caught up to him. So I am predicting a win tonight for the Denver Nuggets back home. Excited to see what that is too. Let me know in the comments. Are you saying who's going to get the biggest one? Is it going to be Air Forces? They're going to move on to 9-0 on the season. Do you think the Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs? Let me know in the comments who you're really looking for. Let's run through some picks real quick, everybody. I trust you guys. I trust all of your opinions. When it comes to Pick'em, our King Supers Pick'em, if you're not joining it, you can still join it, you guys. Like, it's not over by any means. Come in, hang out, do some picks. Let's run through real quick. You guys go with me. I picked Pittsburgh last night, so I'm happy I did that, obviously. Even though Will Levis, I think, had a much, much better game than Kenny Pickett. I think if you're a Steelers fan right now, you're looking at Kenny Pickett like, this is our future. Are you kidding me? And you're a little nervous. I'm going with Miami over Kansas City. I do like that move. Minnesota over Atlanta. Now Kirk Cousins lives Minnesota. Ooh, you guys help me out. Let me know in the comments which one you're going with. Are the Vikings going to have this, like, we're all rallying behind and like, here we go. Let's still try and make a push. What are you looking like? I am picking the Ravens over Seattle, Cleveland over Arizona, and the Rams over Green Bay. Houston or Tampa Bay? I'm going Tampa Bay. Believe it or not, I'm going against the majority right there. Washington over New England. I'm going to go with Washington. The Saints over Chicago. Definitely picking the Saints. Although I won't lie, I know Chicago's record is obviously not very good, but I feel like there's sometimes you see a little bit of heart really play into their games. And I do walk away thinking, this team's obviously a few years out, but I could see them eventually not being too bad either. Indianapolis over Carolina. I am taking the Colts. Las Vegas over the Giants. I'm also going with the Giants. I know Cecil Lamy was bringing it. I'm going with the Giants. Let's see. Philly over Dallas. Definitely Philly. I feel like everybody's talking about this game because it kind of is one of those things when it comes down to Dak Prescott. Like, is he going to be the future for the Cowboys or not? I don't know, but I like Philly for sure. The Jets over the Chargers. Zach Wilson. Are we riding the high with him? I'm riding the high with him. And then for Sunday Night Football, Buffalo or Cincinnati. I just don't trust Josh Allen at all. So maybe he's going to be watching the Wyoming CSU game. Who knows? I don't know, but I am going to go with Cincy on this one. Let me know, though, you guys, right now. I need your help. Who should we take, Minnesota or Atlanta? Let's read some of your comments. People are saying the Raiders are going to win. Chiefs. Nuggets over the Mavs. I like it. Air Force over. As a Bears fan, I need the Bears to lose the rest of the season. You are clearly riding on the Caleb Williams. Let's end it. So, all right, everybody. Minnesota over Atlanta. I'm rolling with it. All thanks to you guys. As always, love hanging out with you guys every single week. Thank you so much for chilling, hanging out in the comments. Thanks to all of our amazing guests this week. We'll be back Monday morning with another episode. Enjoy the bye week, everybody. Lots of good sports to watch. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.